In ancient Egypt, the god of death, Anubis, was feared and revered by all. It was said that he held the power to decide who would live and who would die, and his judgment was final. But one man, a father named Raheem, refused to accept this fate for his son. Raheem's son, Amun, was a healthy and strong young boy, but one day he fell ill with a mysterious disease. Despite the best efforts of the healers and priests, Amun's condition worsened, and it became clear that he was on the brink of death. Desperate to save his son, Raheem turned to the gods for help. He prayed to Anubis, begging him to spare his son's life. But Anubis remained silent, and Raheem felt his hope slipping away. In the absence of hope grew anger and resentment, dangerous emotions when dealing with an all-powerful being such as the god of death. But Raheem was a man of stubbornness and great determination, and he refused to accept defeat. He decided to take matters into his own hands and confront Anubis directly. Raheem journeyed to the temple of Anubis, where he found the statue of the god, towering over him. He stood before the statue and shouted, "Anubis, hear me. I will not let you take my son. I will fight you if I have to." To Raheem's surprise, the statue of Anubis began to glow, and suddenly the god himself appeared before him. Anubis was angry at the audacity of this mortal man, who dared to defy his power. "How dare you challenge me, Raheem?" Anubis boomed. "I am the god of death, and your son's fate is sealed." But Raheem stood his ground, refusing to be intimidated, and shouted, "I will not accept that, Anubis. My son deserves to live, and I will do whatever it takes to save him." Anubis was taken aback by Raheem's bravery and control over fear. He had never encountered a mortal who was so unafraid of him. After a moment of silence, Anubis spoke again. "Very well, Raheem. I will give you a chance to save your son. You must bring me a flower that grows in the land of the dead, a golden lotus. If you can bring it back to me, I will spare your son's life." Raheem accepted the challenge, and Anubis opened a portal into his realm. Raheem traveled through the dangerous and treacherous land of the dead, facing all manner of challenges and obstacles. But he never lost sight of his goal, and eventually on a river, like the Nile, he saw a shining golden flower, floating among what looked like resting crocodiles. Without hesitation, Raheem dove in the river and swam with all his might, feeling weaker every second he spent in the water, lunging and grabbing the flower. Turning and trying to return to shore, he saw the backs of crocodiles swimming towards him. With thoughts of his son filling his mind, Raheem somehow outswam the predators and made it to shore. He returned to Anubis with the flower in hand, and the god was true to his word. He spared Amun's life, and Raheem cherished every moment with his son. He had defied the god of death and won, proving that even the most powerful of gods could be challenged by a determined and courageous mortal. Raheem was overjoyed that his son was spared from the clutches of death, but he knew that he had made a powerful enemy in Anubis. He lived his life peacefully, knowing that he had defied death and won, but always keeping an eye out for any signs of the god's retribution. Years passed, and Raheem grew old. He had lived a full life, and was content in the knowledge that he had saved his son and got to watch him become a man and a father himself. But one day, as he sat in his garden napping in the warm sun, he heard a voice calling his name. "Raheem," the voice boomed. "It is time for you to come with me." Raheem knew that voice all too well. He looked up and saw Anubis, standing before him once again. "I knew this day would come," Raheem said quietly. "But I have no regrets. I did what I had to do. My boy has become a good man, better than I could ever be." Anubis looked at Raheem, his expression unreadable. "You are a brave and stubborn man, Raheem. I admire your determination. But I cannot let you live forever. Death comes for us all." Raheem stood up, facing the god with dignity. "I am not afraid to die, Anubis. I have lived a full life, and I am ready to face whatever comes next." Anubis nodded, and took Raheem's hand. They began to walk together, a portal opening in the garden, stepping through the portal towards the gates of the underworld. As they walked, Raheem felt a sense of peace and acceptance wash over him. He had defied death once, but he knew that he could not do it again. It was his time to go, and he was ready. As they reached the gates, Anubis turned to Raheem. "You have impressed me, mortal, strength and dignity, even in the face of death. I will remember you, Raheem." Raheem smiled, feeling a sense of pride in his heart. He had defied the god of death and won, and now he was ready to face him once again. As they passed through the gates, Raheem knew that his story would live on through his son, and his children.